you ever promised yourself that this time would be different? This Monday, you're going to eat perfectly. You're going to wake up at 5 a.m. You'll exercise every single day, never touch sugar again, meal prep every meal, meditate for 20 minutes every single day, and drink a gallon of water, not to mention journaling every morning. And then a week later, or maybe even a day later, you find yourself sitting on the couch, eating food you never intended to eat, wondering what is wrong with you. If that sounds familiar, I don't think the problem is willpower. I think the problem is that you've been trying to cross a bridge that was never built to carry that much weight. Today, I want to tell you the story of the two goats and why I believe it perfectly illustrates what happens when rigidity replaces regulation. Welcome to Incandescent Voltage Luminous Being. My name is Tiffany, and I have been a functional medicine board-certified health coach since 2017. Everything shared on this channel is intended for educational and reflective purposes only and is not medical advice. You are the keeper of your own current. Please seek appropriate medical or mental health support whenever needed. Two goats meet on a narrow bridge high above a rushing river. The bridge is only wide enough for one, and neither goat is willing to yield. They stand facing each other, two immovable forces, one certain that the other should be the one to back down. Neither goat steps aside. Neither goat bends. Neither goat considers, even for a moment, that there might be another way. They lower their heads, they charge, and then they both fall into the river below. The traditional moral of that fable is that stubbornness leads to downfall. But I think there could be another lesson inside the story, one that has everything we do with the way that we approach our own health, which is rigidity doesn't create strength, it creates collapse. What if the other goat isn't another person? And what if the bridge is just the impossible standard that you've created for yourself? What do I mean by that? Oh, we've all said things like this. Oh, I have to lose 100 pounds. I have to be perfect. I have to completely change my life by next month. I have to do everything right. The bridge becomes so narrow that there is no room for humanity, no room for illness, no room for a hard week, no room for being a person who's also tired, grieving, overwhelmed, simply not at their best. And eventually, just like the goats, you fall. Not because you weren't strong enough, but because the bridge was never designed to hold that much. Traditional Chinese medicine reaches for this beautiful lens where it shows us that health isn't found in extremes. It's found in balance. When we tip into excessive yang energy, it can show up as relentless force, pushing harder, doing more, controlling everything, white-knuckling our way through the day. And many people mistake this for discipline, but often it's a nervous system stuck in survival mode. It's sympathetic activation wearing the mask of productivity. And then comes the crash. The pendulum swings in the other direction. We feel exhausted. We binge. We quit. We tell ourselves that we'll start again on Monday. We withdraw. We freeze. And that isn't failure. And it isn't weakness. It's oscillation between two extremes that were never balanced to begin with. Real regulation isn't found in perfect control. It's found in flexibility, the ability to let life happen without abandoning yourself in the process. And a good analogy for, uh, you know, regulation not being found in perfect control is, think of how buildings are built in earthquake areas. They're not so rigid anymore. I mean, they used to be built this way, but they're not so rigid anymore that they're going to collapse right away. Buildings in earthquake areas are now built to give with flexibility to roll with the waves of the earthquake. And that's kind of where we need to be, is start to look at the architecture of our inner self. Are we in full control of rigidity, or do we have that flexibility that can roll with the waves, just like those buildings that are now built in earthquake areas? One of the greatest misconceptions in health and wellness is that success comes from doing everything perfectly. But your nervous system isn't looking for perfection. It's looking for predictability. It's looking for safety. And it's quietly asking, can I trust you? And trust isn't built through grand declarations made on a Sunday night. Trust is built through repeated experiences of keeping your word, even in small ways and on hard days. Here's something I don't think we talk about enough. Every time you set a goal that is wildly unrealistic for your current season of life and then abandon it, you aren't just failing to reach the goal, you're teaching your brain a lesson. You're rehearsing failure, and your nervous system is collecting evidence. I never finish anything. I always quit. I don't have discipline. And eventually, those thoughts stop sounding like opinions. Over time, those thoughts become identity. One of the most extraordinary discoveries in neuroscience and neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change based on repeated experience. Every thought you practice, every behavior you repeat, every habit you're choosing to reinforce, those neural pathways become stronger over time. In other words, your brain is always learning. But the question is, what are you teaching it? When you repeatedly set impossible expectations and then repeatedly watch yourself abandon them, your brain begins to wire itself around a single belief. I am someone who can't follow through. And this belief doesn't just stay in your head, it shapes your confidence, your nervous system, and every future decision you make about what's even worth trying. But here's what I find genuinely beautiful about neuroplasticity. The exact same process works entirely in your favor. Every tiny promise you keep reinforces a completely different identity. You decide to walk for 10 minutes and you do it. You promised yourself you'd eat protein for breakfast and you do it. You plan to stretch for 5 minutes before bed and you follow through. Those actions may seem small, but they're not. Every single one is another vote for the person that you're becoming. Your brain begins collecting new evidence. I keep my promises. I can trust myself. I follow through. This is what we call neuroplasticity in action. Small wins aren't small. They're literally reshaping the pathways in your brain. Think about the difference between the two goats of, I'm going to lose 100 pounds, and the other goat, I'm going to take a 10-minute walk after dinner tonight. One is so overwhelming that your nervous system might immediately perceive it as a threat, but the other one feels possible. One trains your brain into feeling behind before you even started. The other gives your brain an opportunity to experience success. And success builds momentum. Success builds confidence. Success builds identity. Success teaches your nervous system that change is safe. Imagine rewriting the end of a story. One goat pauses. One goat kneels. One goat adjusts. Both goats could make it safely across. Nothing about that goat is weak. It simply understands something rather profound. Adaptability is wisdom. The healthiest people I know aren't the ones who never have setbacks. They're the ones who know how to adjust without giving up. So today I want to leave you with one question. Are you training your body and brain for failure or for success? Because every tiny promise you keep matters. Every realistic goal you accomplish matters. Every small action that tells your nervous system, you can trust me, they matter. The goal isn't to become perfect. The goal is to become trustworthy to yourself. And sometimes the most powerful form of discipline isn't forcing yourself to do more. It's choosing a bridge that your body can actually cross. Because flexibility isn't weakness. Flexibility is regulation. And healing doesn't happen through heroic leaps. It happens through thousands of ordinary moments where your brain, your body, your nervous system quietly learn that success is safe. Before we close, I want to let you know that in the community tab tomorrow, I'm going to have some reflective questions there for you. I want to encourage you to use those for journaling, contemplation, or at your next appointment with your therapist or counselor for a deeper conversation if that would feel supportive to you. Remember, you don't always have to have an immediate answer. Sometimes healing can begin by just making the space for the questions themselves. Thank you so much for choosing to spend this time with me today, luminous being. If something in this conversation resonated with you today, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Let me know, how did this information change how you view your body, yourself, your current season of life? What expanded your self-awareness as you listened? And I want to encourage you to remember that these conversations are not about perfection. We just want to get to a place where we're listening to our bodies honestly, with compassion and clarity. And if this episode supported you in some way, please like, subscribe, and share these words with someone else who might need them today. And if you'd like to go deeper, I invite you to explore my free 5-day email course linked below, where ancient wisdom meets modern science to support your health, nervous system, and wellness journey. And until next time, may you continue healing at the speed of safety.